Hello, I'm Christopher Jon Bjerknes. It is October 5th, 2022. I am the author of numerous books. You can find them at my website, cjbbooks.com. There will be a link in the description below, together with a link to my donation page. I'd like to thank all of those of you who have donated. It keeps me going and enables me to make these videos. I have recently been discussing my theories of consciousness, time, and space with my friends and family, and in the interviews I've been having recently, and people have found them very thought-provoking and inspiring. So I decided that I will write a book about it, and I am making this video to introduce my ideas to you. The standard view of time, which I'll call Time Theory 1, is that we experience the present, and that everything we experience in the present was once the future and did not exist, and will become the past and once again will no longer exist. The standard theory holds that everything passes away into the past and disappears, never to be seen again, and it gets further and further away in time as more and more time passes. Likewise, everything in the future that will happen does not exist. It will exist as time passes and the future becomes the present, and then it will once again pass away into the past and disappear forever and no longer exist. I can demonstrate this theory with these 3 eggs. You can look at them. They are presently intact eggs. Before they were eggs, they were the bugs that chickens eat and the corn and grain that is fed to chickens. And that was processed through the chicken. It changed form and eventually became these intact eggs. The standard theory has it that all those bugs and all that grain, and before then the minerals and the sunlight which composed the food that the bugs and the grains were nourished on, has disappeared and it's gone forever. And the standard view is that everything is composed of matter and energy, and that the matter and energy are conserved, and everything gets rearranged as the process of change takes place, because everything is constantly in motion. So these eggs are simply a changed form of the matter and energy that was once bugs, that was once plant matter, that was once simple minerals and sunlight. But that those forms no longer exist, and everything has been rearranged, and we now have intact eggs. And these eggs exist in the present. The bugs, etc., existed in the past but no longer exist. And when I crack these eggs, everything is yet again changing form. The universe is in constant change. In the present now, the intact eggs have been converted into the eggs in this bowl and these broken shells on the table. The intact eggs no longer exist, just as the bugs and grain that the chicken ate no longer exist. They are gone in the past. And the bugs and grain that the chickens ate is in the even further distant past and is getting further and further away as time passes away. Now, these eggs in this bowl existed in the future, supposedly, but did not exist. And yet they became the present. So where does the future come from? And where does the past go when it passes? The standard view is that in time, everything got rearranged in the same space, or as I move through space on the Earth, traveling around the sun, passing through the universe, this matter and energy was simply rearranged It changed slightly, it's changed temperature, the mixture of it and its relation to other particles of matter has changed. The atomic particles and subatomic particles are all in constant motion and changing form, just as the intact eggs change form into broken shells. And the eggs in this bowl, which I can stir up and break apart and change them even more perceptibly, although everything is constantly changing. And that's the standard view of theory one of time and space and matter and energy. I have a very different theory. I don't think the past disappears. I don't think the future is non-existent and then comes into being as the present. I think that the past, the present, and the future all coexist, but they coexist in different worlds. This world of the present is these eggs mixed together in this bowl and these broken shells on the table. The past that was the intact eggs remains. I'm simply not in that world in which it exists anymore. I'm in my world of the present. My conscious mind has changed and is different. In effect, I have died and become a different being that exists in an entirely different world. And that entirely different world is the present. And each present is its own world with its own set of matter and energy. This matter and energy is not simply a change in form of the same matter and energy that existed when the eggs were intact. Instead, that world still exists. It always existed, and it always will exist, just as this present world in which I'm speaking exists. It always existed, and it will continue to exist forever. And it coexists with the past and the future. In the future, I'm going to put these eggs in a pan, and I'm going to fry them up as scrambled eggs. All of these worlds coexist. The past does not disappear. Everything that I experienced in the past, I am experiencing forever. And it is an illusion that my consciousness remains unchanged, even though it continues to experience a new present each instant. Instead, my consciousness is part of this physical structure of these individual and entirely unique and completely distinguishable worlds that we call changes in time. I don't believe that the matter composing this instant and this world is the same matter simply rearranged into new forms. I don't think that the old matter ever went away and disappeared into the past and is getting further and further away in the past in its non-existence. And I don't think things in the future are getting closer and closer and closer. Instead, I think that the past, the present, and the future are simply completely unique worlds, all of which coexist. So how did human beings arrive at theory one? And I'll call my theory theory two. It is because our consciousness is composed of or derived from three elements, which I refer to as databases. These elements are our memories, our present sensual experiences, and our expectations and premonitions of the future. And I think our consciousness is generated by a higher mind, which is called, frequently referred to as the soul. But I don't think that our consciousness creates itself and experiences things itself. Our consciousness is instead the product of a higher mind, and that higher mind arrives and makes decisions based upon drawing from those three databases of memories, present cognition, and expectations and premonitions of the future. And those three databases are simply physical sets of data that the higher mind draws upon and makes decisions about what it will create as my inner voice and as my conscious images. But all of those things, those databases, the images that my higher mind creates, and my higher mind itself, are physical entities in each one of these individual worlds. And they are derived from my DNA. And my DNA exists in every cell in my body and is not a unique entity either. And it passes away into different worlds. It doesn't really pass away. It's just somewhat, we can say that it's replicated in each one of these different worlds that constitute the ever-flowing now or the present in each world that is composed of these three aspects of my consciousness that are utilized by my higher mind to generate my images of reality. So my memories are not actually related to the past directly. They instead are part of my consciousness in the present, as are my expectations of the future. And in a sense, memories and premonitions are indistinguishable. They are both simply sets of images that are derived from these physical databases in my brain, in the same way that my sensual experience is derived by the data that exists in my brain that is transmitted to it from my nervous system. So my memories are not the past. They are completely unique and distinguishable in every way from the past. They are inaccurate representations of the worlds of the past, just as my images of the future, my expectations and my premonitions, are inaccurate representations of what exists forever in the future that my consciousness is experiencing presently as the present in those future worlds, just as my consciousness experienced the past in those past worlds and is experiencing it forever. It's very much the way that this video appears as a complete file. Everything that was in the past in this video exists as a different frame in that set of frames that creates the universe of this video. And each frame is its own world. They all coexist in the file, but your consciousness will experience them as a set of different worlds that you will call past, present, and future aspects of this video. And these three aspects form a series of past, present, and future. But that series is composed of different worlds which coexist. Our consciousness is very much simply the physical structure of these worlds. It is our element in that structure of that world. It is not some divine or spiritual entity. It is instead the same as these eggs are composed of matter and energy, and these shells and this table and everything else in my present world. My consciousness is also that way. And just as these eggs and these shells play their role in the structure of that world of the present and of the worlds of the past and of the worlds of the future, all of which still exist and will exist forever together. These have an impact on everything else in this world in that they are a part of its structure. My consciousness also has an impact on everything else in this world as part of its structure. And that is the role that as a living conscious being, I play within this structure. Just as all these minerals and elements play a role as being a part of the structure of the universe, I am exactly the same way. And my consciousness is exactly the same way. And as part of this universal structure in this individual world of this present, I have within my consciousness these three databases of memories, sensual cognition, and premonitions of the future. And that causes my higher mind to formulate my consciousness in such a way as to inspire me to act in certain ways. So these three databases become tremendously important in the physical operations of past, present, and future as an individual in my role within the world, and we as human beings collectively as operant forces within the universe. Our behavior, our conduct, our actions is governed by our sense of the past, our sense of the present, and our sense of the future. And these three things are vitally important, and they can be manipulated. Some of us have better brains than others in terms of being more rational and having a better understanding of what the past is and what the present is and what the future is. And we are able to better recognize what actually exists, and common language is existed in the past. Some of us have better education, we have better memories, our memories are formed more correctly and in alignment with what actually happened, but none of them are perfectly accurate. The same is true of our premonitions of the future. Some of us are better educated, more accurately educated. That doesn't mean that we went to better schools or obtained higher degrees necessarily. In fact, universities, academics often lie to us deliberately or through error and fill certain people's heads with nonsense. And those people have less of an ability to have a better understanding of the past, a better understanding of the present, and a better understanding of the future. They are in fact deceived. So their databases, those three databases of memory, present sense cognition, and anticipations of the future, expectations of the future, are all terribly flawed. And those people are very easily manipulated in these worlds to act in certain ways which are detrimental to themselves and frequently detrimental to the natural world and detrimental to the better existence of humanity in general in the present and in the future. And it is very odd that we are led to abandon all of the traditions of our ancestors and to have a very false understanding of the past. And the physical apparatus of our consciousness and of our higher mind that our higher mind has to draw upon to formulate its images of our consciousness and to formulate its understanding of what's in its own best interest to perpetuate its own survival has been manipulated with lies. And these three databases, our memories, our understanding of the past, our understanding of the present, and even the way that our senses experience things, as they are now manipulated by cell phones, computer monitors, long-distance communications, authority figures shouting at us what it is that is the present. We don't experience it directly. We experience it through filters, whatever it is they want to present to us, as if fact and truth we perceive as if our present. And then they lie to us about the future and what we ought to expect from the future. And then they later apologize and said that they were simply mistaken, when it is often the case that they were deliberately lying to us. And they lie to us not only about the past and the present, but about the future as well. And that renders it impossible for our higher minds to create a consciousness in the future that is survivable. It makes it impossible for our DNA to pass along to our children and then to assume conscious forms in the future that have an accurate understanding of what it is that is in the being, the organism of our descendants' best interests, and what it is that we were. They will be lied to, just as what our ancestors were. We are being lied to about. And so I think it's very important to better understand the actual nature of our existence and the actual nature of the existence of the past and the existence of the future. Because inherent in the structure of my consciousness is this greater understanding of past, present, and future. And I want to pass that along to your consciousness so that this future which exists is a better future than the future that our enemies, our foes, those who want to dominate our thoughts have planned for us. And we can escape those plans by obtaining a more accurate database of our memories of the past, a more accurate understanding of our sensual perceptions of the present, and those lies that are being fed to us through the media of cell phone communication, of computer monitors, of authority figures deliberately misleading us. Those can start to be corrected so that the conscious, the physical structure that our higher mind relies upon to generate our consciousness can be a better machine that operates to perpetuate our survival and prevents others from misleading us and deluding us into behaviors that they want to control. There are people who understand, if not my theories like it, and they keep you in the dark as to these aspects of what time really is as an illusion of our consciousness, based on the fact that in the present of our consciousness, we have both memory, which is exactly like premonition and exactly like sensual experience, providing the data that our higher mind utilizes to construct our conscious mind and our inner voice, and to mandate and dictate our actions and our inactions. And all of this has tremendous import for mental health and for other things, because when you come to understand this, you can gain the awareness that you have the ability to change, and that your future will be better and does not have to resemble your images of the past, but instead is completely within your hands and within the hands of your higher mind. And you can make the higher mind work for you more efficiently and better create a better future for you, because it will come to understand better what the future will be, what the past was, and what the present is. I'm going to have a great deal more to say about this, and I plan to do a series of videos on this and to give you better examples of what I am describing. But again, ruminate over what I've said, and the fact that this entire video is composed of a series of frames. The universe is likewise composed of a series of worlds, all of which coexist forever, all of which have always coexisted and always will coexist. And part of that structure is my educating you as to the nature of that structure, and that this can branch out from human being to human being and create a better future for all of us, which is my hope. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Salute. Good.